Hey guys, on this channel, I don't talk about real life things because we're here to play games and have fun. Today's different, so if you don't want to hear about real life things, now is the time to click off. I'll also note I won't be looking at chat. Got a few things to say, so we're gonna play some Helldivers here in a minute, but I just need to say this first. So there are people that so we're about to play Helldivers, and it's a over the top, like, comedic whatever thing. It's a game, okay? What I'm having to say right now has nothing to do with Helldivers, okay? Just please realize that. Don't draw any conclusions there, because you could draw probably some weird conclusions. Here's the thing: there are folks who I really like who have this idea that militaries shouldn't exist and that we should all be able to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I love this idea. I wish that were absolutely true. It's not. And if you want to see it's not, look no further than Ukraine. Now, there are countless examples, but just take a look at Ukraine. Russia invading for no reason. The thing is that we have militaries because that's a reality of our life. Okay, that's the reality of the world we live in. There are people that would take from others for no other reason than they could. And it's things that, do they want? Do they need? Does it even matter? Does it even really affect their life on any grand scale? No. I don't understand it. I don't quite comprehend it. I know it's about power and other things that they're outside of my understanding. The thing is that in life and in other countries, there are those people in other countries. And if they can, they will take what they can because they want more. It's never enough. They want more power. They want more money, which is kind of the same thing, especially in most developed worlds, and even more so in non-developed ones. And there are those people. They exist. And if we allow them to, they will take everything that we have. And they will take more and more, and life will become worse and worse. That's just the reality. Now, there are groups and people who have been fighting against this for longer than I've been alive. And they understand that this is a reality of the world we live in. And they understand that this is the situation we're in. I often think of it, partially because I was in the military, in terms of a war, okay? And in a war, you look for allies, and you realize that, when the other side is truly evil and is doing things simply because they can, simply because they want power and they want to take and they want to take, that they'll continue to do that. And in those situations, you have to realize there's a different level of seriousness. I might have someone who, disagrees with me on a few things, but we can get along. That's different than having someone who believes someone else doesn't have the right to exist or should be, basically, whether it's like full-on slavery or modern-day slavery, where you're just working multiple jobs and you still can't make ends meet, and you don't have basic health care, and you don't have your basic needs met. It's hard to feed your children or to get them a good education. There are people that will do that, and there are people that understand that that's the seriousness of the situation. That's the reality. And for someone like me, I joined the military when I was 17. I grew up in a trailer park, not the worst trailer park, but I grew up in a trailer park. My mom was a drug addict. She didn't graduate high school. I don't know if she even got to high school. The idea that America is like the land of opportunity and that everybody starts on some equal footing has never been true. But I joined the military for patriotic reasons because I believed in the idea of America, that maybe it could be true. Okay. Maybe it could become, the land of the free, the home of the brave. And the reality of the situation is there's a lot of people like me who were poor who joined the military. And a lot of them did it, and it's a joke that they did it because of college. That's what my drill sergeants thought in basic training. It wasn't my reason. But, whatever, it doesn't matter. That was a benefit, though. The thing is, I had to sign up shortly after 9/11 And I tried to sign up for an infantry unit, by the way. Couldn't because I was too colorblind. But I signed up with the idea that I wanted to go, fight for my country, right? Give back some of the freedom that I had, felt like I had somewhat abused, to be totally honest with you. I was a bit of a hooligan, as a surprise to probably no one. And the thing is that I was saying, hey, I'll risk my life. And there's plenty of other people who were doing it just for the college money. And they're saying, hey, I'll risk my life for the opportunity of something better. They didn't join for patriotic reasons. They joined because they were being offered money. And the idea that there are wealthy people in the U.S. who have, or other countries for that matter, who are somehow on the same footing as everyone else is a lie. It's just not true. And the reality of the situation is there are people that have a lot of money. They have a lot of power. They have everything they need. If their kid gets sick, they don't have to worry about going and seeing a doctor. They can just go. Many of us grew up in situations where, unless you're dying, we're not going to the doctor, right? That's the situation you are in. If a vehicle breaks, you might be in trouble because you might not have a way of getting to work, and that could send you into a spiral of debt. There are people, that's the situation we live in. It doesn't have to be that way, guys, anywhere. It doesn't have to be that way. There are people that are starving in other countries and even with the issues that we have, we can send aid to help them so that they literally don't starve to death. Women, children, innocent people that have done nothing wrong because of the situation in the area. We talk about video games, guys. We all got a random spawn location. None of us chose. I did not make this in a character creator. I did not choose my spawn location. And even growing up in a trailer park, I had plenty of advantages that other people didn't, right? There's always somebody who has it worse. I did nothing to earn that. But the thing with democracy, and this is, I guess, a bit of the Helldivers thing, the thing with democracy is we have an opportunity to influence. We have power. Our vote is our power. And there's a lot of people who have fought very hard for a very long time to ensure that more people got that power and were treated equally. The thing is, if we don't use it, and if we don't use it wisely, then it's a war. And there are people that want to take from us for no other reason than they can. And I'm not talking about any specific political thing, but let's talk about gaming. There was a vote a number of years ago in the U.S. to make the internet a utility, and that didn't pass. And there's a lot of like negative PR put out by companies, internet companies, because they didn't want it to become a utility. And the reason for that is, just to simplify things very grossly here, the cost to provide someone internet has to do with how far they are from other people. Like the cost per mile roughly stays the same. Now, if you're in an area with a high density, it doesn't cost very much to provide internet for a lot of people. Great. Now, if you live out in the country, places like where I grew up, that costs a lot. And then the other thing is a lot of those people don't have a lot of money to begin with. So they know that they'll never make enough money back to justify running high-speed internet to those people. So those companies pushed to not pass laws to make the internet in the U.S. a public utility, and they won. And we're living in those consequences. All your friends online, whether it's you or not, who have problems connecting because they live out in the middle of nowhere, that's a consequence. It's one. It's minor. Has not nearly as wide sweeping and important as many of other issues that have happened. But that's just one case of people who have power and have money fighting just to get more of it, and that's all they want. And I am realizing now that I didn't even check my audio, so I'm going to double check. All right, audio's working. There are people that want to continue to do more of that for no other reason than they can, and we have to understand that. And we have to. I don't care what political spectrum you're on, what you think. This is important. And the other thing that we have to realize is that we know from data that it's easy to trick people, and it's really hard for people to realize they've been tricked. And so no matter, again, what political spectrum you're on, you need to realize and question your own beliefs and say, hey, is the thing that I think really true? Is the thing, I live in a state that does a lot to make voting fairly easy, But even with that, I have to sit down with my wife and we have to go through all of these local voting things, and they're intentionally written to be confusing. And it's incredibly hard for my wife is very educated. I am not, but it's very hard for the two of us to go through and figure out which we know what we think, but it's hard to figure out which way to vote. And that's intentional. The thing is, it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to live in a place where someone chooses, to take their kid to the doctor or not, because if they can't afford it, where someone chooses if they can live or die because they can't afford, it's crowdfunding for cancer treatment and things like that. It doesn't have to be this way. And the last thing I guess I'll say here, it's up to us. It is a war, okay? It's that serious. And it's not about fighting. It's not about guns and bullets, but it is that serious. And if we allow them, they will take our power away, no matter where you live, no matter what's going on. And so educating yourself, and again, that's part of the deal, right? They want people like me who grew up in a trailer park with a mother who didn't finish high school, and I didn't finish high school, right? Because we're easy to manipulate. We have to fight. We have to educate ourselves and learn so that we can make decisions that are good for ourselves and for our community and for everyone else. Because again, they will take that from us if we let them. And then the last thing I'll say here is that, historically, and as someone who served in the military, I certainly felt this way, that, the U.S., we were the good guys. And sometimes we are, sometimes we're not, right? It's not that simple. The people who fought and died in World War II, D-Day, were, fighting for freedom for everyone. And, when you have someone who gives a Nazi salute and talks about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, you gotta not be simple. You gotta put two and two together, and you gotta realize that when they say DEI, the person giving the Nazi salute, saying Heil Hitler, you gotta realize that they're not saying DEI when they're saying DEI. There's another word, a word that we don't even say now, that they're actually mean. And you have to realize that they're not just coming for that person. They want the poor, ignorant white kid as much as anybody else. The idea that, people long ago, all the police brutality stuff, it's not. Is it worse if you're a minority? Yeah, absolutely. We have data that shows that, sure. I can tell you so many stories of where I've been harassed by the police because I drove a garbage car. Never got in trouble, but just harassed. Maybe I'll tell some on stream sometime. It's poor people. It's whoever that they can control, and they're willing to do whatever they can for that.